Hey everybody, it's Hot Mess Mama coming to you live again from my headquarters in Greenville, North Carolina. It is Thursday, that's at least what my watch is. It is Thursday, the 22nd of February, and it is 4:20 Eastern Time. And I know this is not my regular scheduled time slot, but I am just getting prepared because today is Thursday, and I'm gonna get all of my dinner prepped and cooked for tomorrow, Friday night. Now, I'm Catholic, as you know, and I have a lot of Catholic friends that are out there, and we're in the middle of the Lenten season, which means on Fridays we have to abstain from eating meat. And so we've lived our lives eating cheese pizzas on Friday nights, or macaroni and cheese on Friday nights, or peanut butter and jellies on Friday nights, because you were in a rush and you wanted to get something whipped up for your Friday night observance when you can't eat meat during the 40 days of Lent. So I kind of decided, you know what, for tomorrow's wine pairing, for my wine tasting event, that I kind of wanted to do like a Lenten meal, something that we could eat that's like for grown-ups, but that's really easy to cook, that we could eat for a Lenten meal. And so I found a recipe and I posted it. It was like yesterday, because I kind of got excited about it. So I will, again, when this video is over, I'll include the link to the recipe, but it's already on the Hot Mess Mama page. But it is called a creamy red pepper Alfredo pasta, and it is vegan. And there are some variations if you want to go, if you don't want to be vegan, but it will be vegetarian. There will be no meat in it. And so I, might not be too popular with the kiddies because of the red pepper thing, but as with all mama plans, I have a backup. I will be cooking this creamy red pepper Alfredo pasta, and I will also be cooking Kraft macaroni and cheese. Because, if this is a fail, if this is a total Pinterest fail and it tastes wretched, then at least my whole family can eat macaroni and cheese, and it will be, a win-win. And I will also be pairing some wines with that. And I consulted my very good friend Brenda from the Firefly Wine Shop here in Greenville, North Carolina, and she has suggested to pair these with a Sauvignon Blanc or a Chardonnay, a Zinfandel, or a rosé. Any one of those three will pair really nicely with this soup, and heck, anything will work with macaroni and cheese, right? Right, okay, so Lent, 40 days of Lent. If you're Catholic, you know what that means, and you probably gave up some things for Lent. And when we say give up some things for Lent, we make a sacrifice to God during these 40 days, something that we kind of promise them, something that would be really hard for us to sacrifice or give up, kind of to honor Him for His, sacrificing His one Son for our sins. So I was kind of thinking, it doesn't always have to be a sacrifice, but it can also be something like an act of kindness or something that you do that you wouldn't normally do during those 40 days of Lent, that kind of shows your reverence, your honoring of God and Jesus Christ. So I have kind of pledged that I'm going to work on my marriage and kind of do some work on that and take some Bible studies that are applicable to helping me strengthen my marriage. And I'm also going to be working towards helping my husband to eat and live a healthier lifestyle. So I have been working to make him healthy smoothies for breakfast every morning. I have been working to make him a healthy lunch every day, and cooking some, heart healthy dinners every evening, so that he can, kind of get his body, a little bit cleansed, because he's one of those guys and that doesn't eat breakfast and doesn't eat lunch and then comes home and eats a carb-filled dinner. And that's not very healthy for anyone, because as science will show you, that it is important that you eat regularly. You don't skip a meal, because when you skip a meal, your metabolism tanks and they think that you're starving. And so they ramp up all of your fat storage, because they're going into fasting mode. And so it's counterproductive. So why not eat, enjoy yourself, and keep your metabolism running? Obviously you have to exercise in addition to all of that, but it's not like you have to be running marathons or, being a weightlift superstar. But, so things to think about with a healthier lifestyle for my husband. And so I'm trying to kind of get him into that groove, instead of I'm not going to eat anything all day and then I'm going to come home and eat, bread for dinner. So that is kind of where I came about this dinner plan. So it's a healthy dinner plan. It is a vegetarian dinner plan and can be made vegan as well. So those are my two. I'm going to work on my marriage, and I'm going to help my husband get a little healthier. So this is how this recipe is so easy. It's so crazy easy, and it takes like 2 minutes to whip up. So if you don't already have one, I highly suggest getting yourself a Vitamix. blender. I know they're cost like $400, but seriously, this is the one appliance that I literally use every day for making smoothies, making sauces, making dough. I mean, like making anything. I can make anything in this thing. I can literally just pop all the ingredients in it, hit the blend button, and it will not only blend it, it will heat it. So I can do this entire recipe in my Vitamix blender. And again, it is an investment that is well worth it. It's got a lifetime warranties, and you know, they'll take it back and give you a new one. So I'm just really impressed, and I've been using this for about a year now. It was a really big investment for us, but absolutely love it. So, okay, Vitamix blender, okay? And as you can have the recipe for the creamy red pepper Alfredo pasta. Super easy, super easy. So this is what we got. Okay, so 1 red bell pepper. So you can just use a raw one, or you could choose to roast it. I chose to kind of throw it under my broiler for a few minutes just to kind of get a little bit of a softness, a little bit of a smoky to it. You know, drizzled some olive oil over it, salted it, peppered it, maybe a little bit of garlic powder, threw it under the broiler for a few minutes. And but you don't have to. You could literally just cut up the pepper and throw it in the blender. Now, alternatively, you could probably buy, you can get those like jars of already pre-roasted pepper that comes in the oil. Probably do that too. I mean, like if you're in a pinch, or mom, just like shortcut if you have to, right? Make it easy. So here we go. So I got myself, I roasted my peppers. As you can see, ooh, they're dripping with oil. A little bit of olive oil I put on there. I roasted these red peppers, or not roasted them, I put them under the broiler for a few minutes. And then this is just 1 red bell pepper I'm throwing into my Vitamix blender, right? Throwing it on in. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Okay, so then the other ingredients that you have to throw in there are 1/2 cup of water and 1/2 cup of raw cashews or macadamias. Now they suggest that you take these raw cashews or macadamias and you soak them for like 6 to 8 hours. But my husband's in the nut industry. Like he produces nuts and he sells them, mass produces and sells them to everybody. Walmart, Target, Sam's, Costco, you name it. And you probably bought some of his product. And he said to me, there really is no purpose in soaking them. And he goes, you're kind of diluting the flavor. He goes, they're better when you use the roasted nut. So, true to, so if this is a fail and there's someone else out there that's going to say, no, you really need to soak them. I think the purpose of soaking them is because this is kind of a vegan recipe. Maybe the nuts are being added there, not so much for flavor, but for texture to kind of give it a creamy flavor. So in here, I'm going to be pouring into this thing, I'm going to be pouring 1/2 cup of water and 1/2 cup of cashews. So here they go, into the Vitamix. Super easy, right? And then the other ingredients there are, and I'm cheating, it says 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast or Parmesan cheese, such as a vegan Parmesan cheese. Now, I'm not going fully vegan with this because I don't normally stock nutritional yeast in my cabinet, so I don't have vegetarian parm, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my shaky cheese, if you will, the stuff you throw on your pizza. And they're asking for 1/4 cup of that, and then they're also saying 1 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon ground turmeric, 1/8 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and I put that all in here, and we're dumping it in the Vitamix. Boop, in the Vitamix blender, right? Okay. And so then, like the instructions basically say that you should put all this in a blender, blend it all up, or with a food processor, blend it all up, and then throw it on the stove and heat it to whatever temperature you like. Then salt and pepper it if you like, and then pour it over pasta. And in this case, they're saying to use what kind of pasta are they saying to use? They're saying to use that you could use any kind of pasta, whether it be spaghetti or spaghetti squash. Because you can use spaghetti squash as a pasta alternative for those that don't want the carb. Hey, Mary Ellen, how are you? Good to see you. So you can use 10 ounces of pasta. I'm choosing to use fettuccine fettuccine, is that right? Because it's a long, thin noodle and it can hold. If you don't know this, I'm Italian. My husband's Italian, and I had to learn this the hard way. That when you make a pasta, the pasta that you choose has to pair well with the sauce. And so when you have a sauce that's thin and like tomatoey or whatever, you want to use a long, thin pasta that can hold as much of the sauce as possible. Now, if you're using like a meaty sauce, that's when you can use like, the penne, like little tubes or whatever, or something that doesn't necessarily need to hold all of that sauce because it's got a thick, meaty element to it. So I'm going to be using fettuccine. Long, thin noodle, and it'll pair really well with this like thin, creamy sauce. And it's funny because they call it creamy. Hey, Mary, good to see you, Mary. I hope that, have you tried a soup like this before? Do you have a Vitamix? Do you have anything that do you have used like immersion blender, or do you use Vitamix or a blender for these kinds of soups? I'm pro Vitamix. So what's gonna make this creamy is the cheese and the nuts, because that's gonna kind of, but there's really truly no like heavy creams or anything like in this. This is a lighter sauce, it's pretty healthy, pretty heart healthy. So basically, like I said, you can use that long, thin, like flat, thin pasta like a fettuccine, or yes, and then you could also use a spaghetti squash. Like I said, you can use spaghetti squash as a replacement if you don't want to use the full-on heavy loaded carbs. And then if you want to toss into it some other vegetables, or and if you're not observing Lent and you don't want to go completely meatless, you can always throw some chicken breast or something like that in there. But yeah, or beans or other vegetables, whatever you want. So literally, this is the Vitamix blender. This is your soup. Not soup, this is your sauce. And they do say that if you want to just make it as a sauce, you just add more water to it. I'm not sorry, as a sauce. So sauce, you use what we talked about. If you want to make it a soup, you just add more water. You probably could add vegetable stock too if you want a little extra flavor. But you can make a soup out of it. You can make sauce out of it. So literally, I'm throwing this on the blender. So you literally throw the Vitamix blender into its little thing, put the little top on it, and there is a setting. There is a setting here for hot soups, and I'm going to use that, even though we're just making it as a sauce. I'm going to put it on that. But you know what? It probably would help if I plugged in the blender. So here we go. Ready? That's it. Literally, that's it. So it is going to blend itself in the Vitamix for a number of minutes, and when it's done, literally, I just let it sit here, do its thing for like 7 minutes, and it will make the sauce, and it'll be hot and everything. And I don't need to worry about it. I don't even need to put it on the stove. As you can see, it's very loud. It's like space shuttle taking off right now. But it is truly so easy and so awesome. But other people love the immersion blender. Some people love their bullets and all that kind of stuff. But I am really, really pro Vitamix. So, creamy red pepper Alfredo pasta. And I want to thank Brenda from the Firefly Wine Shop. She's awesome, and she's been helping me with my pairings and such, and hopefully she'll help me to do a live tasting in her shop soon. So that would be great. And I think that it would be really lovely to have with this dinner tomorrow night is if you had some crusty bread with it, maybe a nice salad, but definitely some crusty bread, and maybe even a dollop of goat cheese and maybe some sliced basil. I think all of that could really enhance the flavor of this. And these wines are going to be really beautiful because you're pairing this kind of beautiful red pepper and the turmeric. I think that it's going to be really fabulous. And if it's not, we got mac and cheese. And let me tell you, moms that live near the Harris Teeter grocery stores, if you don't know this already, they have Kraft macaroni and cheese boxes on sale right now. And they are 27 cents a box. And if the limit is 10, so you better believe I went to that Harris Teeter running like a madwoman to get there, to get 10 boxes of macaroni and cheese. Not the generic, not the, but the full-on Kraft macaroni and cheese, nostalgic favorite for 27 cents a box. Awesome. So I've got those. I've got this, this, and I have the Kraft macaroni and cheese as a backup. Going to be serving it with some nice crusty bread that I'll toast up and drizzle some olive oil on. Dollop of maybe, like I said, goat cheese, and some maybe shredded basil. I think it's going to be beautiful. Join me tomorrow night because we'll be wine tasting tomorrow night with this creation. Probably going to be doing that at a different time slot. Might be more like 6 o'clock Eastern time, so some of you can join me. But if you want to prep this meal ahead of time, you certainly can. You can prep it today. It's super easy ingredients, not very many. And it's super fast to do. So, but and if you don't have time to do it today, you can always do it tomorrow. But I'm kicking back tomorrow. I don't know about you guys. So thank you for joining, those that could. And momentarily, my soup will be done. Well, not soup. I keep calling it soup, but my sauce will be done. But again, if you want to make this a soup instead of a sauce, you just add additional water. Thanks again for joining me. Sorry for the loudness. Enjoy your evening, and we will see you tomorrow at our wine tasting. Details to follow. Take care.